This week on The Handle. Spin over to Shamrock to meet a woman who's still rocking out on vinyl and learn why records are resurging in radio. Then meet an Amarillo Grammy winner. Explore an historic Asian art collection and head downtown for a magic bicycle ride. All of this right now on Panhandle PBS as we tell the stories of the Texas Panhandle.
I think vinyl has made a resurgence because, while you can go listen to an MP3 or you can go listen to Spotify, there's something about having a physical copy of a record it's just so much more fun. I'm Amy Presley. I'm the program director for Amarillo College's FM 90. I started here as a student back in the late 90s. I think I ended up graduating in the early 2000s, about 2002. I left, worked commercial radio for about 15 years, and then I came back, and now I'm teaching radio classes, and I'm the PD for FM 90. FM 90, the biggest thing is that we are 100,000 watt, so we are kind of a big deal. We're kind of a unicorn a little bit. And so our students, they really take to that. They take this very seriously. They understand that we are FCC regulated, that there are laws that we have to abide by. And I think that's the thing that impresses me the most. They come in, they take this as a job, they take it very seriously, yet they still have fun and bring their personality to it.
I actually got on here before I even started in Radio 1, and it didn't take long to fall in love.
Yeah. Radio is alive and kicking, and people always talk about how, radio's dying, it's a dying industry. This is the biggest resurgence of radio classes in several years. I think it's just as popular as it's ever been. Students are listening to music in a different way, but radio's still free, it's local. What we're finding is that people actually like hearing a personality on the air. It feels like you're talking to a friend and they're giving you information. And so a younger generation is starting to figure out that radio is actually pretty cool. A Vinyl-thon is a day that we spend playing vinyl. That's essentially what we're gonna do. It's a national campaign to bring awareness to record stores, to talk about vinyl, its importance, its history, and why it's still important today. So we're gonna do that on April 13th. It's in coordination with Record Store Day. So while Record Store Day is going on, we'll be playing all songs from records. This year for Vinyl-thon, we have someone supporting us, which is really nice. We asked Spinning Jenny's House of Music in Shamrock about sponsoring us this year, and she immediately jumped on board. She has been around for only a couple of years there in Shamrock.
I was doing laundry one day, and I was just sitting there thinking, this kind of sucks. Like, I want to go do something else. And I love music, and I started racking my brain, so it just kind of came to me, actually, while I was doing laundry. My name's Jenny Morgan, and my business is Spinning Jenny's House of Music. I got started in vinyl, actually, from my mom. She was a huge, and is a huge music lover. And she helps here at the stores. I remember first grade, my first album that I could not wait to go buy was Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Do you have an all-time favorite band? Is that even possible?
I'm so glad you asked me that. I love Pearl Jam. I don't want to start crying. I don't want to get super into why I love them. Just some of the lyrics really touch home for me. And they rock. I've seen them, I think, 7 times. Yeah, I just love them.
I actually have the original pressing of this at home.
Nice.
I worked at a record store when I was in college, and I love this album so much. Eddie Vedder. But there's something really dark about this album that I love.
It is kind of a dark album. And it's harder, like a little bit more hardcore, I think, than a lot of their stuff, especially the stuff they put out recently. Those songs, a lot of those songs, most people have never heard, so it's kind of your own little secret.
I agree. And then you find that people that are like, that's my favorite album. It's like, I know you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see you.
I'm a longtime Prince fan. Very sad that he's gone, but they are reissuing his records. And I was just going to kind of show you what they're doing with these. Here's the Prince album.
I love it.
Here's the inside with the words, which is another bonus that you get with vinyl. And this beautiful purple vinyl.
I love it.
Yes, and it sounds amazing.
I think the hard thing about owning a record store would be finding what your clientele is looking for. Especially in a small town like Shamrock, you're gonna get people off of I-40, but you're also gonna have locals, and they're gonna have specific things that they're looking for.
It seems like everyone that comes in is always in a good mood, and we have that bond that we both love music. We've had people come in from China, all over Europe, a couple from Russia, off the coast of Africa, all over the United States. It's super interesting. I tried to create an atmosphere just kind of full of music. We have tons of posters in here and tons of vinyl. We do sell record players and turntables and speakers. I just got in a vintage rotary dial phone and a small cassette recorder that I'm selling now, because, you know, kids, they have no idea what that is.
For people who listen on Vinyl-thon Day, what do you want them to get out of it?
I want them to feel emotion, get excited about it. I want them to kind of relive what it was like listening as a child. That day is a lot of memories. It's people just loving the music that we play. We play a little bit of everything. So this year we're planning on doing 3 hours of regular type music with some oldies thrown in, different things. And then from noon until 2, we're gonna do the first 2 hours of Body and Soul on vinyl. Not really anything is off limits per se, as long as it's not swearing or something like that. But anything else, we can fit it on somewhere. So you might hear the Beatles next to the Smashing Pumpkins, but it somehow works because it's all on record.
Which one do you want?
I want Mother's Talk, track number 4, side 1.
Brian and I, we work together to really make it sound cohesive and flow from one element to the next. So we try to not make it so jarring where, you know, 9 Inch Nails is gonna come out of, you know, Johnny Cash, but it might. College radio station is so much more dynamic. Every 6 months, you have 40 new students. Their nervousness brings an excitement back to radio. It makes you understand when you listen to radio, like, it's not as easy as the commercial guys make it seem. But when you hear students do it, you can kind of hear the terror in their voice, but then over time, they just start growing and getting better. One of the things I love about Vinyl-thon is it shows students, you know, automation's a great thing, technology's a great thing, but they get very reliant on it. Vinyl-thon kind of shows them the difficulties they used to have on the radio, because every 2.5, 3 minutes, they're putting on another record. Plus they're having to, you know, read their liners and do the rest of their job. It makes them see like, wow, we've got it really easy, but also I want to know how to up my game a little bit. So usually after Vinyl-thon, we see a big resurgence of people turning the automation completely off and manually doing everything themselves.
Man, this is fun. Me and 45s go way back.
Yeah?
Yeah. Learn to read off of the label. No stinking
Hooked on phonics?
hooked on phonics or internet apps that make your kids better readers. Now, Mom said if you want to hear this particular record, you better be able to tell me what it is so you learn to read off record labels.
A lot of students love collecting vinyl. It invokes memories for them. It makes them think of their parents or their grandparents. That's part of what Vinyl-thon does. We bring students, we tell them to bring their vinyl, you know, bring your records, tell us the story of why you chose this record.
This is a 45 that my parents owned in the 60s, and I'm sure my dad bought it when it came out. It's 1956 is when this was cut. And I used to love playing this record when I was 5 or 6, 7 years old. And the decal being off center, as you see, is what I thought was just really cool about it. And of course, the music. There's nothing like good jazz and blues, so.
You know, you can collect MP3s, but they're all in your phone, or they're all on a digital media player. But there's something about having a collection of music. That's what I love about it. I love being able to walk in a room and all my favorite songs are there, all my favorite albums in a physical form.
What can you tell about somebody from their record collection?
Oh, gosh. I try to not be a snob about record collections. I think record collections they're telling in the fact of how they take care of them, I think, more than anything. I don't really judge the music, because I think if you're gonna go that length to become a collector of anything as far as vinyl goes, like, bravo.
Shall I grab it? It's right over there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Best to see it to really describe it. I carry one of these for each musician because I'm old school. I write all these out by hand. But it's got a few songs in it.
My name is Kara Stevens, and I've been working with Mark for about 2 years now. I'm with the band Kara, and I'm the lead singer. I also play piano. And and then Mark Little, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Kara Stevens.
Oh my God.
No, just kidding. I'm Mark Little. We are partners. And it's been a wonderful journey, and we're just getting heated up. Yes, this is all my, well, let's see. Oh, that's a silly song we made up to try and get more tips. Mr. Bob, the tip jar man, doing his job the best he can. Don't be sad, don't feel blue. Give us all your money and you feel good too.
Oh my God.
It worked too.
It did, I have to admit.
Anyway, yeah.
So yeah, those are all handwritten.
Yeah.
And he literally will add a song and he'll go in the kitchen and sit there and write it.
Yeah.
Right there. So it's all old school.
As you can see, you can leaf through everything from Chopin, Beethoven, to all these instrumentals that we do before she starts. And then all of this section is originals and cover tunes. Everything from, what would you say, from Randy Newman, Bonnie Raitt, to what's the new one? Sweet Child of Mine, what's that?
Oh yeah, Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses. But we do a real beautiful rendition of it that you'll go, wow.
Yeah, it's really different.
Who thought of that, you know? At the age of 13, I joined a very well-known group here at the time called the Undertakers. And we were like the most popular band in like a 200-mile radius because we worked continuously traveling and playing mostly all the high school events and some college, but mostly high school stuff. I think I've been in every gymnasium in across the greater Panhandle in New Mexico and Oklahoma. I've been playing piano since the age of 4 and studied classical for many years. And then the day that my life changed was the day, and my father, I'm sure he regrets this too, or he's no longer living, but he regretted this, but he allowed us on Sunday night, me and my 2 brothers, to stay up later to watch the Ed Sullivan Show, because there was this new band we wanted to see. They were called the Beatles. And I saw them, and the next day I quit my classical piano lessons, and I started a band. And I was convinced that I was going to be that 5th Beatle, which never has come about, but I was convinced I was going to do it. It's funny. But how many countless of others, I'm sure, did the same thing. But musically, that was it, mostly classical, up until that moment, and then it became rock and roll, soul. Like the Undertakers were a dance band of doing all the top 40 hits of the time, which it was Sam and Dave, Wilson Pickett, James Brown, all that stuff. And then, of course, the psychedelic bands later, all that stuff. But we did it all.
I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and my background in music, I've been singing since I was like 3. I mean, I've just always been singing. My mom always used to sing Elvis to me ever since I was born, and I just loved Elvis. And I used to do talent shows at my schools, won first place at all the talent shows. I got picked up by a producer. And the problem with the producer at the time was that he wanted to make me into what he wanted me to be. I had my own voice, but he heard something else. He was more into rock, and so he turned me into a rock singer. I was caught in this rock world, and I was looking for a way out, and it wasn't until when I met Mark 4 years later when I got to actually find my own voice and my own self in music. He pulled me into his music room and he said, I want you to sing this song. Just try singing this song. And it was by Bonnie Raitt was singing it. It's called Feels Like Home. And it's been such a long time that I've done a ballad. And I was like, oh my God, because rock singers are used to powering and not letting themselves just free. And so when I did it, I remembered this amazing feeling. It was just like, oh my gosh, just to be able to let your voice go in a natural way. And he said that it gave him goosebumps after I sang it. He was like, I really want to start working together.
I hear there are some songs about Amarillo.
Yes. There sure is. In fact, a brand new one. I just wrote on the way up here. Let's see. Here we go. Stompin' at the Esquire, Bombtown for Amarillo. What else? There's the others.
Yep.
Let's see.
The Esquire.
Yeah, the Giggin' at.
Giggin' at the Esquire.
That's about my dog. Nall or Nothing at All is about our drummer, Scott Nall. We're very much alike in our the way we think, the way we, what moves us, what inspires us, how we work.
And we're very much down to earth. We're not, your typical, oh gosh, I've met some musicians that are just big-headed, and we are like totally the opposite.
I just worry because I'm so much younger than her. So that bothers me, I'm thinking, well, wow, what am I going to do, But you can't control that.
Oh, Lord, here we go into the age thing again.
Thank goodness for the museum, because we wouldn't be able to get in the door at our house. It would be so crowded.
Over the past 50-plus years, Dr. William T. Price, a retired Amarillo neurosurgeon, and his wife, Jimmy Dale, have amassed a collection of hundreds of pieces of historically significant, artistically impactful sculptures, prints, and textiles from across Southeast Asia.
Right after I've completed all my training, 5 years after medical school in neurosurgery, I got called into the Army. And I arrived in Tokyo on a Friday afternoon, and this doctor from New York came in and says, I collect Japanese art, and I'm going to be out in Tokyo looking for art tomorrow. Would you like to go? So I did go. And then when the war ended, I went back to Japan, and I was there a year. And the war was over, so I had lots of time. So I spent that time collecting, looking at Japanese art and collecting.
Now, before that doctor asked you to go out with him, did you know anything about Japanese art or art?
No, I never thought about art. I only thought about medicine. That's right. I just got interested in them, you see, and it's a real interesting subject. You can look around here. It's obvious that this is great art.
Price eventually settled in Amarillo, where he married his wife Jimmy Dale in 1964. Together they would travel the world as Dr. Price's passion for collecting grew beyond woodblock prints.
When we married, he started collecting rugs because we needed them for the floor. And so when he would go to meetings all over, he would go to the rug shops with his dimensions of the room, and he fell in love with the rugs doing that. Then the first time we went to India was with the Textile Museum in Washington, and they would be talking about the rugs and this and that and the weaving and all of that, but Bill's eyes would start wandering. And you have to see him do that because it's really cute. You'll be thinking you have his whole attention, and he's going like this. He doesn't stop looking around. And the owner of the Textile Museum there had us over to dinner at her house. And in this huge plate glass window, there was a statue like that. And he just fell in love. You know, he just couldn't take his eyes off of it. And pretty soon, one arrived at our house. When he did all of this slipping away, you know, he would be buying things.
I think collectors in general, once they get the collecting bug, which Dr. Price certainly had, and others, but when you get that bug and you can't feed that habit enough, it takes a special collector to really focus in on an aspect, you know, say Indian and Southeast Asian sculpture, and really focus on collecting that in depth, not just say, oh, I have one of these, I have a couple of those, I have a couple of those, you know, but to really collect, you know, with enthusiasm.
I'm the enabler.
And what does that mean?
To his addiction. And he knows I say that to everyone.
Eventually, the collection outgrew their Olson neighborhood home.
How many pieces do you have altogether now? Do you know?
I don't know. But I can tell you this, we've given the museum 336 pieces. The reason I started giving it, I had the house full and had statues in the backyard where the weather and the sprinkler system were doing them harm. And so to get the statues out of the backyard and save them, I started giving it, I made this gift to the Amarillo Museum of Art. And I've enjoyed seeing it out and letting other people see it, you see.
Thank goodness for the museum, because we wouldn't be able to get in the door at our house. It would be so crowded. You know.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a constant learning experience for me. Well, they really changed the entire scope of the permanent collection. I mean, before this gift and before they got started giving to the museum, we were primarily collecting American art and contemporary post-war American art. It really redefined what the museum's collection was, for sure. Oh, I think our collection stands among most all collections in terms of the content. I mean, there are definite pieces in this collection that the Prices have had and that have given to the museum that are, you know, top-notch pieces. I've been to, let's say, the Dallas Museum of Art and the Crow collection, and the Kimball is the only one that might have slightly better, but they collect the best in the world of everything that there is. So, but even some of the pieces that we have here, you know, could be envious of that. So it really is a top-tier collection of Indian and Southeast Asian sculpture and textiles too.
When I told my wife I was gonna try to do a pedicab company, she's like, what? My name is Marco Camp. I started Triple Crown Pedicab Company. We're here downtown on Polk Street, Amarillo, and this is our place of business. The first person I ever rode a pedicab with was my wife in Austin. So we were down there for Austin city limits, and we walk out of our hotel and there's just 50 pedicabs waiting for a ride. And you know, it was really interesting there because they're real quiet. They kind of wait for you to come to them. And so we picked a guy, wonderful guy, just kind of this hippie Austinite, you know. He's just super cool, talks the entire time, talks up, you know, it's like a 10-minute ride. He tells us all about Austin by the time we get to where we're going, you know. And so when I first told her, it was like, really, a pedicab company in Amarillo? And then the more we thought about it and the more she thought about it, it's like, oh, that'd be cool. So it actually came up with the ballpark. Somebody mentioned, you know, last time I was at a ballpark in Austin or San Antonio, there was pedicabs. And so we thought, oh man, that'd be cool, pedicabs. And I run around with a lot of people who like to ride bikes, and I like to ride bikes. And so the idea was just perfect. I work at Amarillo National Bank. I'm actually a computer programmer, software developer. Yeah, just completely opposite of this, right? Yeah. It's not hard because my job ends at 6 o'clock at Amarillo National Bank, and then on Friday and Saturdays, this starts at 7. We get a lot of rides of people that just want to ride around the block with their children. That's been a big one that I didn't consider. A lot of people like to go back and forth to the embassy. That's a big one. Marriott to maybe down here, over here by Esquire and Moondoggies. It was interesting. At first, they were kind of like, they didn't know, and you could tell who's seen him before and who hasn't. And the people who had seen him before knew what to do, right? They knew that you needed to yell out and, hey, I need a ride. And then there was a lot of people that were really shy and they weren't sure what to do with them. It's just kind of taken off on its own. And of course, I got to give it to my drivers. They've really done a lot to really push it and make people feel comfortable. Once the ballpark gets here and we know that there's some games to hit, I mean, I expect to have 6, 7, or 8 of them out there because I know there won't be enough.
Dark night in Texas, voodoo's on the prowl, blues players, ghosts walking on the back roads. I can hear the big wolf howl. Broke down on the blacktop, far from any town. It's the blackest night I've ever seen in Texas. Can you feel my feet walking on the ground? Right now I visualize myself to be in some other where but where I'm at. Picture me in the bright lights in a big city, driving like this Cadillac. Up ahead, 2 red tail lights, slowing down for me. Mississippi plates on a long black Lincoln.